snowball fight!
What the hell?
Get him. Oh yeah. Man, that was incredible, huh, Pete?
God damn it, man. You know it's against the rules to do snowball war shit when people are sleeping. That's crossing a line.
Oh, please, bro. When has there ever been a line? God, what the? God damn it. Man, I tell you what, I can't wait to...
Man, that doesn't count. You know what? Screw you. This isn't over. I'm gonna get my revenge. Mark my words. Wait, this is my room. Get out.
Well, that was fun. I guess while Pete craps together his revenge plans, I may as well keep myself entertained in the meantime. If there's one game that comes to mind after clobbering Pete half to death with snowballs, it's Club Penguin. Club Penguin was a huge MMO game that started in 2005, where you and a bunch of other children over the internet played as penguins and hung out on this island. There was all kinds of stuff to do, various locations to explore, mini-games you could play to earn coins, monthly parties to attend. You could also decorate your own house, which the game labeled as your igloo, customize your outfit, adopt pet Puffles, but most importantly, make friends with strangers online. This game was apparently quite something back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, but truth be told, I never really got into it. When I was a kid, it was all about Animal Jam for me, which was a similar, yet better experience than Club Penguin ever was. Oops. Seriously, I was beyond addicted to Animal Jam, and I guess my parents saw that and thought it was worthwhile to buy me a 1-month Club Penguin membership card for Christmas one year, despite not having an account. So I made one, enjoyed the game for a little bit, but ultimately stopped playing it and went back to Animal Jam. I don't remember my Club Penguin experience all too well, and with the game having been shut down since 2017, those memories are likely gone forever with no chance of recovery. But oddly enough, while I never really got into the original Club Penguin, I did own the Club Penguin DS games, Elite Penguin Force and Elite Penguin Force Herbert's Revenge, both products of Disney Interactive Studios. Not sure how I got my hands on these considering I wasn't a Club Penguin fan, but I had both of them as a kid, and these I actually remember enjoying quite a bit. These games served to expand on the spy missions that took place in the main game, where you could join the Penguin Secret Agency, or PSA, and go on little point-and-click adventures to solve puzzles around the island and defend it from the very evil Herbert the Polar Bear. These DS games take that idea and make full-blown games out of it, letting you not only experience it offline and portably, but also giving you brand new content to experience, while maintaining the general premise of the main game's missions. It's pretty cool how, even though Club Penguin itself is a rotting corpse at this point, these games are forever preserved Club Penguin experiences that can never be taken away from us. And I'm ready to dive back in and remember what they have in store. Oh, there's also a Wii game called Club Penguin Game Day. It's got nothing to do with the DS games. I never even knew about this one as a kid. I'll still talk about it though. But let's begin with Club Penguin Elite Penguin Force, released in November 2008 for the Nintendo DS. As a kid, I had no idea that the original Club Penguin already had secret agent missions, so I thought that this game was the origin of that concept. Nope. Before playing, it's worth noting that both this game and the sequel featured mild connectivity with the main Club Penguin game. Each of these games came with a card containing a code that, if used on your Club Penguin account, would give you some exclusive items and some coins. Not only that, but any coins collected within the games could have also been transferred to your online account, which is pretty cool. Too bad you can't do it anymore. ×2. The game begins on this main menu where we get two choices, play the game or DGamer, which I'll get into later. Starting with the actual game, we watch this guy walk for 20 seconds in the opening cutscene, then get to choose a color and name for our penguin. After that, we can enter the main mission mode, which is where everything goes down. We begin the game as an ordinary civilian, tasked with doing nothing more than wandering around and finding something to do. In typical point-and-click fashion, we get around the island using this cursor on the screen, controlled primarily by your stylus. You use it to pan across the area you're in, and can tap on the entrances to other areas to move into them, or on characters to talk to them. The first person I encounter is Aunt Arctic, who urges me to read the newspaper in the coffee shop. So I head into the coffee shop, cause pandemonium over at the ketchup, and then skim the newspaper for half a second. After doing that, a blue Puffle appears with a note, which has apparently been signed by D. I show the note to the barista, and also this stranger outside. They both tell me that it's a picture of the snow forts, and that I should head in that direction. So I head over to the lighthouse, and while I'm there, I have a chat with this lad at the dock. After that, I rob this guy in his sleep, and then check out the ski hills. After a few hours of exploring and pondering, I finally start to piece together what this note's been trying to tell me. I've got to go to the snow forts. I get there, and find this snowman who gives me another note. Then I help this guy get his hat down from this building by discovering that the blue Puffle I found earlier has the ability to throw snowballs, which will be a recurring tool moving forward. The guy gives me this shit as a reward for his hat, and then I keep exploring the area, being mysteriously handed more notes. I put all 4 notes together, which creates a map to the lighthouse, and after going back there and interacting with this barrel, out comes Dot, aka D, who's been the one behind these notes. Apparently, Dot has been watching me for a long time. Okay, where's my stun gun? She starts blabbering on about the Elite Penguin Force and how it's this super duper secret agency she's a part of that no one knows about, but that I'm the perfect one for the job. Apparently, I just passed the first test. She then hands me this world map that gives me the exact GPS coordinates of their secret headquarters, and then asks if I want to join the Elite Penguin Force. And you know, of course I don't, but I'd feel rude declining the offer, so I just begrudgingly accept it, with intentions of no call, no showing my way out of this mess later. I gotta say, man, the EPF must truly be a top-notch secret agency. These people are so secretive that they were willing to completely expose their whole operation to some random guy on the street just because he was able to identify what location was displayed on a piece of paper he was given. Seriously, why was my character specifically selected to be filled in on this top secret shit? I'm just some guy. Like, literally the barista was more knowledgeable about this than I was. Hire him. Not only that, but you gave me all this information before I even accepted the invitation to the agency. What would you have done if I instead went with the I need some time think about it option and then never followed up? I'd just know your classified shit then? Would you have to kill me? Nice secret, bros. But anyways, that concludes the first mission, and you see how the game works. This was a very basic mission, but the general gameplay of it persists throughout the adventure. Go around and gather important items, talk to penguins for information, solve puzzles, and complete missions, but things do get more interesting later in the adventure. To start our next mission, we go to the location Dot provided us on the map, which ends up being the dojo. We solve some quick puzzles, and then get taught how to use the elite Puffles with unique special abilities based on their color. The blue Puffle can throw snowballs, the red one can blast out of a cannon to break things, and there will be plenty more to discover throughout our journey. After this, we're given access to the secret headquarters hidden in a fitting room in the sports shop. We meet the director, who teaches us how to combine items, giving us access to this spy gadget that'll help us in all sorts of ways. You've got this button that can teleport you to the HQ at a moment's notice, a log that displays the objectives of the current mission, and a phone to call other agents with, little things that'll generally help guide you through your tasks. There are also some tools in here that initiate microgames upon being used, like this feather duster. There's also this decoding tool, which this mission teaches us how to use. I gotta be honest, man, anytime I had to use this thing, I got peeved. It is the most tedious shit ever. Every now and then, you'll come across these codes that need to be translated with the decoder, and to do so, you've got to painstakingly scroll through the list of symbols to find their corresponding letters, one at a time, and use the stylus to slowly write out the code you're translating. It's fucking dreadful. And they give you whole ass sentences to decode like this, not just individual words. Hell, this game has a handful of optional side missions to complete, and one of them is literally just following some guy around the island and translating all of his stupid codes, then answering a quiz about what the code said. Do it correctly and you win a stupid helmet for your penguin. Fuck this guy and his quests. But alright, we figure out this code in the HQ, then we're officially hired as an EPF agent. Now we can go out and explore the island to our heart's content. At this point, we can either take on some optional side quests or continue with the main story. Frankly, if you're not a completionist or a diehard Club Penguin fan, I wouldn't bother with the optional side quests. I did them all, and a majority of them consist of just being asked to find something and aimlessly checking every area on the island until you get what you need. Like the first one I did involved finding 7 Puffles hidden around the island to return to the pet shop. No direction, no clues, just look everywhere until you find them all. Gross. They're not all like this. Many will give you hints on where you should go without explicitly telling you, but with these, it pretty much just amounts to either understanding the hints and then going to that place, how fun, or not understanding the hints and therefore aimlessly walking around trying to find the right area. How fun. You don't get anything substantial for completing these, just coins or cosmetics, so they're only really worthwhile if you find them fun, and I just don't. So then it's back to the story missions. There are 13 of them in total, creating one big overarching plotline. We just did the first 2, and the third one introduces Rookie, the dumbass of the agency, who we have to rescue from the idiotic situation he got himself into. We do so by heckling this guy for his snowboard and taking it down the ski mountain, which is where the first minigame takes place. Yeah, Elite Penguin Force contains 6 minigames, similar to those found in the online game. What's pretty cool is that these minigames are often used within the story missions, either as means of traversal or just as part of some quest. This snowboarding game has us trace these lines with the stylus to do tricks in the air, and it's kinda lame. Then later we've got Kart Surfer, where we have to shift our minecart in the direction indicated by these signs, also kinda lame. Dance challenge, it's Simon Says. Ice fishing, you go fishing. Jetpack adventure's alright, fly around the obstacles to reach the end while collecting coins and gas if your fuel gets low. Snow Trekker's also alright, drive this machine over the snow, enter plow mode to destroy obstacles, and boat mode when you need to go over water. You've got to blow into the microphone to move forward during these water portions though, which sucks ass. Overall, the selection of minigames here isn't that great. They're nothing special, but as little breaks from the puzzles and conversations, I'll take them. In fact, throughout this adventure, I often find that any break from the countless conversations you have to have with people is very much appreciated. The way talking to people works in this game is pretty monotonous in my opinion. You have to read everything the other person has to say, then read the multiple long response options you get, pick which one you want to go with, then read their response to your chosen response, repeat until the end of the conversation. There's a lot of freaking reading in this game. On one hand, it does build the characters' personalities, including your own, which is cool. And most of these guys have crucial info on what to do next, so it is important to talk to them. But on the other hand, I sometimes feel like interactions that could have been done in a couple of text boxes are blown up into whole ass conversations that don't give you any more info than a single text box would. For a game like this though, I can let that slide. It's a very story-driven point-and-click adventure game where you have to solve mysteries. Obviously you're gonna have to read, it makes sense. And hey, I might not be the biggest Club Penguin fan, but being able to explore all these familiar locations from the actual game and talk to the same characters from those online missions missions on the DS. That's pretty cool. Not to mention, the way you can dress up your penguin with the items you're given feels straight out of the online Club Penguin, and when you open the map to travel somewhere, you're represented by an actual Club Penguin model. Like, come on man, look at this. And I gotta say, I love this game's presentation. It both looks and sounds very nostalgic. I didn't expect to be so touched by this game's soundtrack, but this is some really good nostalgic stuff. Especially the music that plays during the ice fishing minigame. It gives me such a heavy case of sad nostalgia. Listen to this. Like, doesn't this make you hate your life? Is that just me? Now it's time for a quick rundown of the game's story. From Mission 4 onward, the story follows a continuous overarching plot involving Gary the Gadget Guy, the inventor of the agency who's gone missing. We're supposed to be assisted by the other agency members, Dot, Jetpack Guy, and Rookie, but they really don't do squat and just leave everything up to me, so up to me it is. We eventually find Gary in the mine, and have to rescue his stupid ass from a minecart he got stuck under by using some damn balloons to lift it off him. Gary eventually reveals that he created 3 robots that gained minds of their own and ran away, so we had to track down each of the robots at different locations and dismantle them, which involves some touchscreen microgames and the use of the Puffles and their abilities. We've already gone over Bouncer and his snowballs, as well as Blast with his cannon, but on our way to these last few missions, we also recruit a handful of others. Flare uses a blowtorch to weld metal items together and melt ice, Loop can use a lasso to constrain things, Pop can blow bubbles that can lift heavy objects, Flit can fly and grab faraway items, and Chirp can shittily play the flute and shatter ice and other fragile materials. I like the variety of abilities at play here with these Puffles, and how each one has a chance to shine throughout the missions. I don't care for the fact that the game makes you blow into the mic to call one out though, and in instances like this with these robots, it's not always clear which Puffle is needed for the job, so you're kinda just trying each one until something actually happens, which isn't the most fun. Not only that, but there's also a problem that persists throughout the game where you have to tap a seemingly very specific spot to make certain things happen, or they just won't. With these robot portions, I swear, I tried using the correct Puffle multiple times, but I guess I didn't tap the exact pixel they wanted me to, so nothing happened. Resulting in me turning the game inside out to try and find some alternate method of progressing, until I eventually gave up and checked a walkthrough, only to be told that the solution is something I already tried. But whatever, after we stop all 3 robots, a party breaks out in the theater, but uh-oh. It was a fake out ending, and we now have to fight the final boss, this really out of place, goofy 3D model robot. This thing takes all our Puffles, so we gotta follow it around and save them all one by one. After that, the game is finished. There's really not much else to say about Elite Penguin Force without getting into the nitty gritty of each individual mission, but honestly, most of it is nothing you haven't seen already. You just talk to people for information, find the items necessary to complete the mission, use your spy gadgets and Puffles to solve puzzles, and occasionally play a minigame. As someone who was never really into Club Penguin, I don't think I really needed to play this. Don't get me wrong, I think the game's really charming and can be a bit of fun, but honestly, it was also kind of tedious and not that engaging. I think that might just be because this type of point-and-click game where you have to read a lot and solve puzzles just isn't my type of game. Couple that with the fact that I'm not a huge Club Penguin fan and I'm also a grown adult, yeah, there's not much in here that really speaks to me these days. I can definitely see the appeal of this for someone who's into Club Penguin, but even then, the puzzles are relatively simple, the missions can feel really long, and the only moments that actually stumped me just ended up feeling like bullshit. Like, there was this side quest where this construction guy's missing his wrench and wants you to find it, so he tells you, in plain English, 3 locations he remembers using the wrench in. I go to all 3 of these places, no wrench to be found. So I ended up feeling stumped. What more is there to do? After a while, I check a walkthrough, and it turns out what I was supposed to do is interact with this damn thermos so he can tell me, oh yeah, I was at the coffee shop this morning. And then I go there and find the wrench. Like, what? So yeah, all in all, this game wasn't the most exciting to revisit, which is concerning because Herbert's Revenge is next, and it's like the exact same thing as this game. Club Penguin Elite Penguin Force Herbert's Revenge released in May of 2010, and is the sequel to Club Penguin Elite Penguin Force. Back then, I remember this being the main game I played between the two, and I remember thinking Elite Penguin Force was the sequel. It's not. With these two games being so similar, a lot of what I said about the original game carries right over to this one. However, I must say, Herbert's Revenge felt a lot more engaging upon revisiting. But, as I discovered soon after playing, there just so happens to be a kinda lame reason for that, which I'll get into. So Herbert's Revenge takes place after a popcorn explosion destroys the Penguin Secret Agency, or PSA, from the online version of Club Penguin. Apparently this was like some big event on there in 2010, a couple years after the first DS game came out. The explosion resulted in the sports shop being replaced with this boring telephone facility, and the PSA being officially rebranded as the Elite Penguin Force, the agency we were already a part of in the previous game, which came out years before any of this happened. It's sorta confusing, because as a sequel to the game Club Penguin Elite Penguin Force, this game acts like we don't already know what the Elite Penguin Force is. Like, the first mission sees us all training to see who should be the leader of the new agency by having us solve puzzles and play minigames and all that, but I already pretty much became the leader in the last game, so why am I doing it again in a game that's supposed to take place after that one? And then it gets more confusing, because in the next handful of missions, Gary has you using this virtual reality device to play PSA missions. Like, the missions start with this mock loading screen as if we're booting up a simulation of a mission rather than just doing a mission. And why are they called PSA missions? Aren't we supposed to be the EPF now? And then you realize, oh, these are referred to as past PSA missions because they're past PSA missions. So apparently, out of the 10 missions on offer in Herbert's Revenge, 6 of them were taken straight from the secret missions in the online version of Club Penguin with minor changes. That's why Gary calls them PSA missions and not Elite Penguin Force missions, and it's also why we play them through a virtual reality device, because they're old-ass missions from the online game that took place years ago before the Elite Penguin Force was even established. They don't really fit in with the new content story-wise, so the best way to contextualize them? Frame them as simulations of past missions that'll help us learn how to be a great Elite Penguin Force member, so I can use these newly acquired skills in the 3 original missions available afterwards. I was so confused at the end of Mission 7. The popcorn explosion thing happens, and the characters talk about starting up the Elite Penguin Force. Then your character's like, wait, what do you mean the Elite Penguin Force? What's that? Like, it's Mission 7. I thought it was well established that we were already in the Elite Penguin Force, so why is the game acting like we have yet to learn what it is? Have we not been a part of it this whole time? The first mission of the game had us training for it, but sure enough, it turns out that the last 6 missions I played were indeed past missions. Herbert's Revenge starts with 1 current mission, then has us jump years back for 6 missions straight, and by the time you reach Mission 7 and forget that you're just simulating past events that happened before you're supposed to know anything about the EPF, you get thrown back into the current day where you know everything about the EPF. It's like these 6 missions were just a long dream that we woke up from 70% of the way into the adventure. Sure, it explains to the players why we should hate Herbert, but did it have to spend 6 of its 10 missions just retelling past shit to get that across to us? You couldn't have just done a new Herbert plot? Listen, as someone who didn't play the original Club Penguin missions, I had no idea that these were reused content when I played, so I still enjoyed them for what they were, even if the virtual reality setup was confusing. But yeah, if you were a Club Penguin fan who wanted to experience some new missions, this game would have definitely been a disappointment, especially since it's a sequel to another game that did have all original content, so like, why flake out for the sequel? I guess it's sorta cool that this game preserves these missions forever now that Club Penguin is no longer online, but having only 40% of your game be original content is pretty rough. But again, that didn't really affect my time playing it, as I had never experienced any of this stuff beforehand, so it was all fresh for me. And as I said, I enjoyed these missions much more than I enjoyed the first games, and I think most of that has to do with the antagonist Herbert, this polar bear who wants to, I don't know, destroy the island or something. It's not really important. It's great that this game has a lovable supervillain and a moronic sidekick to add some funny to the experience. The first game's plot honestly didn't feel like it had much direction, but here we're constantly getting a load of Herbert's antics and having to put a stop to him, and it's great. The missions, even if they're ripped from the main game, are just far more engaging to me. It's fun to fuck with Herbert and stalk him at his lair, and the side characters like Rookie are given much more personality as well. There are a ton more little touchscreen microgames throughout the missions than last time, which gives the experience much more variety. A few more spy gadgets, like a wrench, some scissors, and a comb, and a new elite Puffle, a white one that can freeze water to make paths. And the mini-games in Herbert's Revenge are far better than the ones in Elite Penguin Force. They still occasionally appear throughout the main missions just like in the first game, but these ones fit in way more naturally and are much more fun in my opinion. Instead of being simple, replayable little distractions like in the first game, these minigames involve actual fleshed out level designs to conquer, almost as if they were designed as extensions of the missions first and minigames second. Jackhammer is a game where you're tasked with digging through blocks to reach the end of the level, while collecting coins and avoiding falling rocks. Getting to the end of the level is easy enough, but the real challenge comes from figuring out how to collect all the coins, which can get quite tricky in some levels. Grapple Gadget has you traversing 2D platforming levels using a grappling hook, while once again collecting coins and avoiding death. This one's pretty fun, probably my favorite in the game. Amazing Maze has you travel through maze puzzles, switching levers to open their corresponding doors, finding and using puffles to progress, sliding on ice. This one's also pretty fun. And lastly, we've got Aqua Rescue, which I think is sort of the dud of the group. Throw life preservers at the spikes beneath the iceberg while avoiding the spiky fish, and you get some little power-ups here and there, nothing special. Overall, it's a pretty decent selection of minigames. Again, not quite as replayable as the ones in the original game, but I wasn't gonna touch that shit again anyways. The last major difference between this game and the first one is the snake tokens. Basically, in each of the 6 stolen PSA missions, there's a hidden snake token for you to find somewhere, and if you collect all 6 of them, you unlock this snake game on your spy gadget. Not worth it at all. I usually enjoy little bonus collectibles like this in games, but if you miss one of these tokens your first time around, are you really gonna want to replay a mission to go find it? I know I said they're more enjoyable, but they are far from replayable. They still have some of the same problems as the ones in the first game. Random, unpredictable solutions to puzzles that require just checking every area. There was this one mission where you have to react in real time as you blow the gift shop out from underground, then figure out how to stop it from falling back under, and if you don't do it quickly enough, you have to go out and replenish the materials you use by finding them again, which isn't really fun, just kind of annoying. There's been a slight graphical upgrade, the character designs look a bit more polished, and the game presents missions to you through a very straightforward level select screen now, rather than leaving it up to you whether to tackle the next mission or just freely explore the island for other side quests. There just straight up are no side quests in this game, which, I don't mind. They weren't great in the first game anyways, and I was ready to be done after just these. Now there were some seasonal missions in Elite Penguin Force that could be played during certain times of the year. April Fool's Day, summer, Halloween, Christmas, pretty cool. But no such thing exists in Herbert's Revenge, sadly. The 10 missions you can select on this menu are the game's only missions. In Elite Penguin Force, the coins you get can be used to buy clothes for your penguin, but in Herbert's Revenge, they do nothing. They exist solely to be transferred to your online account, which at this point you can't even do. Speaking of online, this game had very little online functionality back then. Yeah, you could transfer your coins, but some things that Elite Penguin Force had, like looking at the newsletter, taking polls, downloading some extra missions, none of that made it into Herbert's Revenge. Both games have a multiplayer component, letting 2 players sorta cooperate during missions, which is sorta cool, but but not something I could ever see myself doing. And in Elite Penguin Force, you could compete in some minigames with friends, but you can't do so in Herbert's Revenge. All you can do is share a demo of Jackhammer through download play. Come on, man, you totally could have worked some competitive elements into these games. Like, who can finish a maze the fastest, or collect the most coins in Jackhammer or Grapple Gadget. That would have been sorta cool. In all fairness, these multiplayer and online features, buying clothes, and seasonal missions are by no means things that affect the game that much. Hell, I didn't even know these things existed when I played Elite Penguin Force, so I didn't even notice that Herbert's Revenge took them away. But it's still pretty wild how much of a downgrade it makes Herbert's Revenge look like compared to the first game, especially considering the reused missions. It definitely makes it seem like the game was created as some sort of cash grab rather than out of love and passion. But yeah, that's Herbert's Revenge. It is simply more Elite Penguin Force missions, and also a shit ton of PSA missions apparently. I liked this one a lot more than the first one, but honestly, neither of these games were really that fun. They just aren't my thing. I'm not a big reader, don't care for point and click games, never really got into Club Penguin. I actually have no fucking idea why I'm doing this right now. So I don't find either of these games all too interesting these days, but what I do find interesting is this mysterious extra option they both have on their title screens, DGamer. DGamer was a unique little feature that came included with a variety of DS games developed by Disney Interactive Studios. If you had any of these games, then you had access to this online social network application type thing. Back when I was a kid and first fiddled around with this option on my Herbert's Revenge game, I did not understand it at all. I was kind of weirded out by just how different it felt from the Club Penguin game I was playing, and decided not to delve too deep into it. But now that I've grown up and the service has been long discontinued, I really wish I'd gotten into it back then, because it seems like it would have been really cool. A lot of this is inaccessible now, but back then, DGamer could have been used to create an online profile where you could befriend and chat with other people who played Disney games on the DS, essentially unifying them all through one service. You would have to find a way to give people your friend code before you could talk to them on here, but once you did, you could basically use this as some sort of messaging app. As a kid who was already a fan of making friends through online games, I can't imagine how cool it would have been to be able to chat with other people in real time through the DS. And I love the idea that the service spans across a decent variety of games that all still have Disney in common. It's a broad range of properties, but it's all cut from the same cloth, which I bet made for a great diverse, yet like-minded community of players. Even with the online functionality being gone now, you can still mess around with a lot of stuff here. You can create a monstrous avatar and dress it up with clothing based on the game you're playing, collect little plushies and other game-specific knickknacks, view game stats and achievements, and even chat with friends locally. You just generate a friend code, pass it along to your friend, and then they appear in your friends list. From there, you can slide into their DMs, jump scare them with emotes, and even send them gifts. In its current offline state, DGamer is essentially a more elaborate alternative to PictoChat, but back then, being able to do this stuff with strangers online, similarly to how you do so in the actual Club Penguin, would have been awesome. This type of online interaction was a magical thing for me back then. Before Discord existed and every 10-year-old had a Twitter account, stuff like this was an innocent child's only peek into the world of the internet, and I wish I could have experienced it while it was still around. Now, another thing I didn't experience while it was around was Club Penguin Game Day, the only Wii game based on Club Penguin. Released in September of 2010, this is a game that I wasn't aware of until recently, and if you ask me, I wasn't missing much. Game Day is a complete departure from what the DS games were. We create ourselves a penguin again, and then instead of doing secret missions, we watch 4 differently colored teams frolic around for a bit, and are then asked to pick which one to join. After picking a color, we're tasked with going around to the different zones on the island and conquering all of them, which translates to win some minigames. Yeah, Club Penguin Game Day is a minigame collection. The object of the game is to play and win a bunch of minigames until your team has taken over the whole island. Each zone has you play 4 minigames against the other 3 teams, and there's also an additional goal you have to achieve during those 4 games in order to actually win the zone. Stuff like collecting a certain amount of coins within the games, or just coming in first place enough times. Even if you get first place in all 4 games, you won't conquer the zone unless you complete this side goal, so if you already know you're screwed and can't complete it by the end of the series, you literally have to quit and restart it from the beginning. That kinda sucks. After you complete the goal for the zone you're at, you'll have to win one final, usually very easy challenge to seal your victory and declare the zone yours. Stuff like throwing paint of your team's color at the zone sign while your opponent pathetically attempts to keep it their color. To 100% the game, you have to take over every zone on the island as every team. What the hell? Yeah, apparently we aren't just choosing our team color for the hell of it. We're actually expected to conquer the island as all of them. If you decide to join the yellow team and then beat the game, well, you've only beaten the game for that team. You've still got to do it all again 3 more times if you want to achieve full completion. Yeah, that's just not gonna happen. Getting through one team's worth of minigames is repetitive and exhausting enough. You couldn't pay me to dream about doing it again, let alone 3 more times. I guess now's the part where I actually discuss the minigames themselves, and they are quite a mixed bag. There are only 12 of them in this game, and you will be playing each one several times. There are different difficulty variants for each one, but they don't change the experience much. That being said, let's go down the list. Feed a Puffle. Use the Wii Remote pointer to aim and shoot your pistol at these Puffles running around, and shake the controller to reload your ammo. The more Puffles you shoot, the more points you get, and the amount of points awarded depends on the color of the Puffle. This game feels like a total crapshoot. There's just too much going on, and half the time it feels like I'm not getting points when I should be. Being balanced. This one's pretty good. Each player goes back and forth balancing heavy bags to the other side of the map by tilting the Wii Remote. Before each trip, you decide how many bags you want to carry, which is a bit of risk and reward. The player who moves the most total bags bags is the winner, so you may want to go big here, but that also makes it slower and harder to balance. And if you drop your bags, you have to run back and try again. I like it, this one's fun. Puffle paddle. Use your paddle to keep your team color's Puffle from falling into the abyss. You can also smack around other people's Puffles to throw them off, but bouncing your own Puffle as many times as possible is key. This one's sorta hectic, but not overwhelmingly so. It's decent. Java jump. Continuously shake the Wii Remote like a lunatic to jump forward and miss sack, and you can also press 2 to take a big leap over tall obstacles. First to complete 2 laps is the winner, and apparently these things here are power-ups, but they take so much time to stop and activate that I just avoid them. And still, I end up lapping the shit out of these CPUs. This game's too easy. Rollin' Riot. Roll a snowball bigger than everyone else's, and knock into others to make theirs smaller. You can also risk throwing your gigantic snowball at others to fuck them up. This is some straight up a guard.io type shit right here. I like this one, not bad. Goal. This might be my favorite game in here. Each team has a goal, and it's all about just hitting pucks into them for the highest score. It's simple, but pretty fun. Dance Off. This one sucks. You're supposed to copy the dance moves as they appear by moving the Wii Remote appropriately, but it just doesn't work half the time. It feels like the game has no idea what I'm trying to do or how I'm timing it. This is torturous, and my most successful attempts come from just flailing my arms around randomly. Snowball battle. Throw snowballs at other players, while also finding opportunities to restock when no one's around. This one's alright. Fast freeze. Run to the finish line, but don't let the ref catch you moving or you gotta start over. Ice makes you slide, and jamming A makes you stop harder. This one's frustrating. I don't know why, but I can never get it down, and if you get sent back to start once, it may as well be game over for you. Sled and slide. Sled down this tunnel while avoiding the obstacles and trying to hit speed boost and coins. Pretty cool. One of the only games in here that actually feel like action. Jackhammer. Trace the line. And finally, Sumo Smash. Knock opponents off this wobbly ass iceberg. Animal Jam is better than Club Penguin. And that's it. Those 12 minigames, as well as those little final challenge games you play when taking over a zone, which are as simple as they look, are all this game has to offer. Club Penguin Game Day is a collection of 12 minigames and some change. Of course, if you want to, you can play these with friends, which I'd imagine is a lot more fun than playing against the CPUs in the story mode, but come on. No one's busting out Club Penguin Game Day at a get-together. There is no reason to play this on the Wii when Mario Party 8 is right there. The minigames are nothing to write home about. Hell, some of them actively suck, and there are only 12 of them. The story mode is repetitive and boring, and even if you're a Club Penguin fan who can look past a mediocre experience because it tickles that interest of yours, this game doesn't have much for you in that department either. Sure, there are some little Club Penguin elements sprinkled throughout the games, but honestly, most of these just feel like games you'd see in any typical minigame collection. It's also not as cool to explore the Club Penguin Island here as it is in the DS games. It feels kinda soulless, like it's just sort of a snowy area rather than the iconic island. In the end, Club Penguin Game Day is mediocre and you probably shouldn't play it. Yeah. So that's it for the Club Penguin spin-off games I wanted to talk about, and regardless of their quality, they're fun little nuggets of Club Penguin history. Of course, there was also Club Penguin Island, a failed successor to the original game that was supposed to replace it after it shut down, featuring more of an RPG quest gameplay style. It was put to an end in late 2018, only about a year and a half after it launched, and I don't think many people really miss it. And then you've got the various fan revivals of the original Club Penguin after it shut down. Club Penguin Rewritten, Club Penguin Journey, New Club Penguin, and who knows what else, all striving to keep the dream alive for a little bit longer. Hell, Rewritten gathered over 11 million players during its run, but was apparently shut down by Disney for copyright infringement in 2022 and had 3 of its creators arrested. Jesus. Warning other Club Penguin fan servers, don't get arrested. So it looks like my Club Penguin escapades have officially ended. These games weren't that exciting for me, but I'm sure diehard fans would enjoy them. You know, Animal Jam's still up and running to this day. Where the hell were its DS and Wii games, huh? Yeah, that's bullshit.
Hey Flish, how's it going?
I mean, it's going alright, I guess.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, real good.
You did some Snowball Wars bullshit, didn't you?
Oh, did I ever? Yeah, in T-minus 3 seconds, you're about to be... Wrong coordinates.